Hello, my name is Daniel. Thank you for being here with me today. If you enjoy real, heartbreaking cheating stories from Reddit, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and leave a comment to share your thoughts. It really means a lot to me. This is a story that's been haunting me ever since I read it. It starts with a knock on a door. Simple, unassuming, but it's the sound of a life breaking in two. It was 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday that would split Everett Rowan's life into a before and an after. He remembered the exact time because he'd been watching the clock, silently begging for the workday to end as he stared at a spreadsheet inside the administration building of Somerfield University in upstate New York. He hated the place more than he admitted. The paper pushing, the hollow small talk in faculty lounges, the way the walls always felt like they were closing in. "Come in," he said, eyes still fixed on the screen. A slight boy with dark curls and jittery hands stepped in. He looked about 19, maybe 20, wore his backpack like it held state secrets. Everett had seen him around campus, always alone, always fading into corners. Liam, maybe, or Leo. "Mr. Rowan," the boy said. His voice cracked. I have something for you." He placed a USB drive on the desk with both hands, like it might explode if dropped. His expression wasn't smug, but there was a sharpness in it, something that made Everett's stomach twist. "What is this?" Everett asked. "You'll know when you see it," the boy replied, already backing out the door. The latch clicked shut, leaving Everett alone with a piece of plastic that looked harmless, and wasn't. He should have thrown it away, should have shoved it in a drawer and let it disappear with the other regrets. But he didn't. Not after 15 years of marriage to Maren. Not after watching the woman he once adored grow cold, distant, and somehow cruel, not with words, but with absence. The file opened without hesitation. The timestamp was from 4 nights earlier. The angle looked like it came from a hidden camera wedged between books on a shelf. Everett recognized the room instantly. Maren's office. English department. Stacks of literary journals and insufferable quotes plastered on the walls. She was in the frame, but she wasn't alone. Nolan Graves sat sprawled in the chair across from her. Just 18, built like someone who never had to try too hard to be liked. Wide jaw, smooth skin, a grin that said nothing could touch him. He was the kind of boy women pretended not to notice. "Did you handle it?" Maren's voice sounded low, sultry, a tone Everett hadn't heard directed at him in years. "You worry too much," Nolan said, rising to circle the desk. "Your husband's still playing paper pusher. He doesn't see a thing." They laughed, and that laugh, it broke something in Everett. The next moment forced him to slam the laptop shut, hard enough to crack the screen. His throat closed, his hands trembled, and he stumbled into the narrow bathroom attached to his office, retching until nothing was left inside but air and rage. Still, he returned. He had to see, had to know. 12 more minutes. He watched every second, every touch, every whisper. When Maren adjusted her blouse and whispered, "You're my secret weapon," something hollowed out inside him. The video ended with her promising him an A. "As promised," she said with the smile that had once belonged to Everett. "You've certainly earned it." He sat there until the building emptied out, alone with the remains of the life he'd built. 15 years of marriage, 6 years of trying to have kids that never came, countless nights of quiet disappointment and forced smiles at department dinners while Maren lit up every room, never once reaching for his hand. The home drive passed in a fog, and there she was, in their kitchen, sipping wine, grading essays, humming some tune like the world hadn't just collapsed. "How was your day?" she asked without looking up. "Fine. Yours?" "The usual. Conferences, meetings, nothing interesting." The lie slid out of her mouth like breath. Practiced. Effortless. That night, Everett didn't sleep. He lay there next to her, listening to the sound of her breathing, planning, calculating, mourning a marriage that had already died, though he hadn't known it until now. The old Everett, the man who had spent his life following rules, trusting people, avoiding conflict, he had died in that office. The man left behind was someone else, someone quiet, but not blind anymore. Somerfield's academic systems were outdated, clunky things held together by aging code and false trust. As assistant dean, Everett had access to records most faculty didn't even know existed. He dug. Nolan had taken 3 classes with Marin, D+ in American Lit with Dr. Schaefer, C- in Intro to Writing with Professor N.G., and then an A in Marin's Advanced Comp course. At first, it had been entered as a C+, but 3 days later, it had been changed. At 11:23 p.m., using Marin's login. She had claimed that night she was at a departmental dinner. She'd come home after midnight, tipsy and rambling about budget proposals. Everett kept digging. Nolan had 3 unresolved complaints in his file: harassment, academic dishonesty, and a hazing incident that mysteriously vanished. Each had been handled by the same man, Department Chair Alton Baird, the kind of man who thought tenure made him holy. Everett had never liked the way Baird looked at Marin. Now he wondered if she'd been cornered or complicit. Either way, he needed answers. And so the next morning, with trembling fingers and a heart full of dread, Everett slipped a recorder under Marin's filing cabinet. He wasn't looking for a way out. He was looking for the truth, no matter how much it hurt. Just another scholarship kid from a forgotten neighborhood, trying to carve out a space in a system built to keep him out. But unlike me, Liam had come prepared, with cameras, recordings, and a ruthless understanding of leverage. "I need more," I said. "Everything you've got on Chairman Baird." "That'll cost extra," he replied. I handed him $500 in cash, more than most students at Somerfield saw in a month. His eyes widened for half a second before he tucked it away like it meant nothing. "Faculty mixer is tomorrow night," he said. "Big event at the president's house. Wine, donors, PR nonsense, lots of security, but I know a few blind spots. I'll get what I can." Marin had been buzzing about the mixer for weeks. New dress, new heels, appointments for her hair, nails, and whatever else helped her build the illusion of being untouchable. I watched her get ready that evening, brushing highlighter across her cheekbones like a general applying war paint. She looked elegant, powerful, the kind of woman who walked into rooms expecting people to listen. It would be one of the last times I'd see her like that. "You sure you don't want to come?" she asked, not turning from the mirror. We both knew she didn't mean it. I was the reminder of the life she had settled for. "Budget work," I murmured. "You go ahead." She kissed my cheek. Lipstick marked my skin. I didn't wipe it off until she had disappeared down the street. The footage Liam handed me the next morning was sharper than I had expected. 12 minutes of crisp audio and high-definition footage from a quiet corner of the president's study. Alton Baird's hand rested low on Marin's back. "The board is asking questions about grade inflation," he murmured. "Nothing serious, not yet, but we need to be careful, especially with Nolan." Marin leaned closer, barely audible above the party noise. "It's all spiraling. The donations, the complaints, the grades. You said you'd manage it. You've been sloppy, Marin. Passion makes people reckless." "I never wanted this," she whispered. "But here we are," he said, his fingers sliding along her spine. "You're not alone in this. I've been protecting faculty like you for years, as long as you stay reasonable." The threat wasn't direct. It didn't need to be. She didn't flinch when he pulled her into him and kissed the side of her neck. I watched the video 5 times, studied every frame, memorized every betrayal. Then I started making copies, dozens of them. The email went out at 6 a.m. sharp from a burner account, routed through a VPN. It went to every trustee, every campus journalist, and 3 education reporters in the region. No message, just the file. By 10, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. By noon, Baird had called an emergency department meeting. By 2, security was walking Marin out of her classroom. Students filmed it from the hallway. I watched from my office window, sipping my coffee. The old me would have felt sick, would have mourned her fall. But the man I'd become felt nothing but cold satisfaction. The first checkmate was on the board. Marin called 17 times that day. I let every call go to voicemail. "Everett, please, something's happened. I need you. They've seen the video and they think, just please call me." "I know, it was you." Her last message came at 6:15 p.m. I deleted them all. When I got home, she was on the front steps, still in the same clothes, her makeup smudged, her hair undone. She looked small, like guilt had shrunk her. "Why?" she asked. "Why what?" I unlocked the door. She followed me into the kitchen as I opened a can of soup and started warming it, like it was any other Tuesday. "They suspended me. Alton's on leave. There might be criminal charges." Her voice cracked. "Everett, my career." "That's unfortunate, but you always figure something out." She grabbed my arm, hard. "I know I made mistakes," she whispered. "Mistakes?" I turned. Sleeping with a student was a mistake? Tampering with grades? Lying to me for months? Her face drained of color. How do you know about Nolan?" "Because I pay attention. Because I actually do my job." She cried then. Not delicate tears, loud, broken sobs that echoed through the kitchen. "I didn't want to hurt you. Alton said if I didn't go along, I'd lose everything. I thought I could manage it, just until tenure." "But you didn't stop," I said flatly. "You kept going. You dragged this deeper." I turned off the stove. "You're going to leave tonight. Pack a bag. Hotel, friend's couch, I don't care, but you're not staying here." She tried to argue, begged. "I'll file for divorce next week. You can keep whatever you have. But the rest, the house, the cars, our accounts, they stay with me." Her eyes were red and wide. "Where am I supposed to go? No school will hire me. Everyone thinks I enabled him." I didn't answer. I didn't have to. She went upstairs without another word. I returned to the stove, stirred the soup, and picked up my phone. "Liam, you ready to earn another $5,000? The protests began 2 days later. Tents filled the quad. Students chanted. Signs waved. They demanded resignations and reform, furious over the grade manipulation scandal. What they didn't know was that I was feeding them details, anonymously, strategically, enough to keep their anger hot but pointed away from me. Baird tried damage control, closed-door meetings, polished statements, but he didn't know I still had more. The second video dropped the following week. Liam had outdone himself. Baird in his office, counting cash from a manila envelope. "Parents pay, records vanish, been this way for 15 years, it'll keep working." By nightfall, 3 trustees called for his resignation. By morning, the DA announced an investigation. I watched from my office window as the world finally saw the truth, or at least the version I allowed them to see. "Not just about the grades," Marin said, and then stopped. Her voice faltered. "Not about our." She didn't finish the sentence, but the implication hung there, heavy and sharp. "Our affair," she'd almost said. "Don't say it like that," she whispered. "Like what?" I asked. "Like the truth?" She didn't respond, and she didn't have to. For the first time, I could tell she was beginning to grasp the size of the thing she'd helped build. The grade changes weren't isolated. They were part of a machine that protected predators, silenced victims, and traded justice for donor checks. Liam found me in the staff lot that afternoon, like he always did, quiet, precise, almost too on time. "Nolan's lawyer is floating plea deals," he said without introduction. "Word is, he's ready to name names. Other faculty? Yeah, people who knew, admins who buried things, staff who got paid to forget what they saw." Liam tilted his head. "Your wife's name is on a lot of files." I handed him another envelope of cash. "What else do you have?" "Payments from the Graves family to a consulting firm tied to Baird's wife, salary bumps for certain professors when cases disappeared, emails from Baird to trustees about spinning scandals into manageable optics." "How did you get all that?" Liam gave a dry smile. "Rich people think they're smart, but they reuse passwords, and they don't expect anyone like me to be watching." That night, I sat alone in the house. Marin had come during the day to gather her things, most of them anyway. The place still smelled like her. A fading perfume, half-empty lotion bottles, ghosts. I reviewed everything Liam had handed me. The scope of it made my skin crawl. This wasn't just a one-time lapse, it was a network. Marin hadn't been trapped, she was part of it. Every grade change, every favor, every decision to look the other way. I organized everything: video, bank records, email threads. Some would go to the district attorney, some to journalists, some straight to federal investigators. But not yet. I wanted to see how far Baird and Marin would go once they realized just how much I knew. The phone rang close to midnight. It was him. "Rowan," Baird slurred. "We need to talk." "About what?" "To end this before it ends us all. Tomorrow night, parking garage behind the Marriott, level 3, come alone." The call cut out. I stared at the screen for a long time. The tone in his voice wasn't fear, not yet. It was calculation. But that would change. The garage smelled like oil and rot. I arrived early, found a spot that gave me the advantage, a corner behind a pillar, out of view, but able to see every approach. It was the perfect place for someone like Baird to make things disappear. He showed up 20 minutes late in a black BMW that looked like it had something to prove. His walk was slower now. His hands shook as he stepped into the dim light. "Rowan," he called, his voice echoing weakly. "I know you're here." I stepped from the shadows. He flinched. The once untouchable chairman looked like a man unraveling. "You said you wanted to talk," I said. "Talk? Not here. Too open. Come sit in the car." "I'm fine right here." He hesitated, then swallowed. "I can offer you something big. It'll fix this for both of us." I said nothing. $500,000, cash, untraceable, delivered within 2 days. All you have to do is wipe the recordings and get your student hacker to do the same." "Don't insult me." "You think I don't know? Liam's been feeding you info since the beginning. Impressive kid, a little careless, but smart." A flicker of fear crawled up my spine, but I kept my face still. "I don't know what you're talking about," I said. "Of course not," he said, stepping closer. I caught the stench of whiskey on his breath. "Just like you don't know about the backups on your server, or the downloads from our system last Tuesday night." Then the voice changed. "Take the money," he hissed, "or bad things start happening. To Liam, to your wife, to you." He smiled like it was reasonable. "Overdose, suspicion, dorm room search. Tragic, really. And if you still refuse, Marin goes down. 20 years in prison. And you, well, you lose everything in public." I let the silence stretch until he started shifting on his feet. Then, finally, "Counteroffer," I said. "You resign, cooperate, forfeit your pension. In exchange, I tell the feds you helped." His face darkened. "Do you have any idea who I am? I have friends in state government, agencies you don't even know exist." "Had," I said. Past tense. Funny how scandals change people's contact lists. His hand twitched toward his pocket. I tensed. But it wasn't a weapon. It was his phone. "One call," he said, finger hovering. "And your little friend becomes a headline. Accidental overdose. Suicide. Pick one." That's when the last piece of me, the part that still played by the rules, died. "Make the call," I said. "What?" "Go ahead. Show me who you really are." His hand shook. "I understand perfectly," I continued. "You're a predator hiding behind a podium. And now you're threatening a kid because your kingdom's crumbling." I raised my phone. "But here's what you didn't expect. This conversation, it's being live streamed to a secure server. Every threat, every word." He went pale. "You're bluffing. Liam taught me well. Brilliant kid, assuming he survives you." I stepped closer. "Go on, Alton. Make your call." His phone slipped from his hand and clattered on the concrete. And I stopped being quiet. The first punch dropped him to his knees. "For Liam," I said. The second cracked his jaw. "For every student you buried." The third broke his nose. "For Marin, for turning her into someone I couldn't even recognize." He lay there bloody and broken, gasping through split lips. "You'll drive to the ER. You'll say you fell. Tomorrow you resign. Then you cooperate, or we burn everything." I handed him his phone. "Your choice." And then I walked away. For the first time in years, I felt clear. Not happy, just clear. But Liam and I had been 3 steps ahead. Every transaction, every offshore transfer, every attempt to conceal assets had already been logged, copied, and forwarded to the right people. Alton Baird's Swiss accounts were frozen before he even touched his suitcase. His wife's consulting firm was now under federal investigation, and the entire web of his deception had been pulled into the light. Marin called me that evening. Her voice sounded empty. "Everett, he's gone." "Who?" "Alton. The FBI came this morning. House was empty. His wife claims she hasn't seen him in 2 days. Guilty men run. They're saying I was part of a conspiracy, that I helped launder money, that I covered for Nolan." Her voice cracked. "They want me to testify against Alton. They say it's my only chance at a deal. Should I do that?" There was a long pause, thick with everything she didn't say. "I don't know. I can't think straight. Everything's unraveling so fast." I didn't offer sympathy. "Maybe you should have thought about that before sleeping with a student and rewriting his grades." "It wasn't that simple," she said softly. "You don't understand the pressure I was under, what Alton threatened to do." "I understand perfectly," I said. "You made your decisions. Now you live with them." She started crying again, the same ugly sobs I'd once rushed to comfort. Now they just felt like echoes in a house I no longer lived in. "I need you," she whispered. "I know I don't deserve anything, but I need you, Everett. Please don't leave me like this. You left us a long time ago. You just didn't say it out loud." I hung up, blocked her number. No more pleading, no more explanations. Some wounds bleed forever. 3 days later, Liam knocked on my office door, laptop in hand and a glint in his eyes. "Nolan's talking," he said, sitting down across from me. "Full cooperation for reduced charges, the works." "What's he saying?" "Everything. The bribes, the grade swaps, the assaults, and the money his father paid to keep it all quiet. He slid a folder toward me. Inside were transcripts, confessions, lists of names. Marin and Alton were just the tip of it. 17 professors gone, 6 administrators indicted, 4 board members disgraced, and the English department rebuilt from the ashes. Enrollment had dipped, but applications were already climbing again. Parents loved the new policies, the zero-tolerance reforms, the image of integrity. I was invited to conferences, quoted in ethics journals, held up as the man who saved a sinking ship. If only they knew. That afternoon, Liam came in holding a laptop. He didn't knock. He didn't need to anymore. "Final update," he said. "Figured you'd want to see it." He opened the screen. Alton Baird, arrested in Geneva, found with fake IDs, a suitcase full of cash, and an expression of despair carved deep into his face. Extradition pending. Nolan, 18 months federal time, 5 years probation. His father's company now under investigation for financial crimes, the family fortune evaporating. 3 professors pled guilty, 2 more awaiting trial. "And Marin?" I asked. Liam's face shifted. 5-year deal. Testified, cooperated, admitted everything. He played a video, Marin, frail and older, being escorted into court, hair graying, face drawn. She's been moved to a safe house, threats from victim families. Someone even threw a brick through her sister's window. I watched her face but saw nothing familiar. Where will she serve? Minimum security, Pennsylvania. With good behavior, 3 years tops. Liam closed the laptop. "Do you feel anything?" I thought about it. Sympathy? Regret? Nostalgia? "No," I said. "She chose her path. She gets to walk it." "And us? Any regrets?" I looked around the polished office, the leather chairs, the view I'd once only dreamed about. "In 6 months," I said, "I went from invisible to indispensable." Liam smiled. "Good," he said, "because I've got another idea." But curiosity won, just like it had when Liam first handed me that USB drive. I picked up the phone. "What do you want, Marin?" I needed to hear your voice, to try and understand how we got here." "You got here by sleeping with your student and taking bribes. I got here by doing my job." "Is that really what you believe, that you were just some innocent bystander in all this?" There was something different in her voice. Not pity, not panic. Something sharper, clearer. And she continued, "I know what you did. The recordings, the anonymous tips, the timing of it all. You didn't just uncover the truth, you constructed it. You built a case and buried me under it." I didn't answer. I let the silence stretch. "The thing is, I'm not even angry," she said. "What you did, I probably deserved it. But how you did it, Everett, the precision, the utter lack of mercy, it scares me." "Good." She exhaled. "Do you know what they call me in here? Professor. Like it's a joke? Like the years I spent building my career mean nothing? And you, the guards read the papers. They call you a hero, the man who cleaned up Somerfield, the saint who exposed the rot. People like neat stories. They need villains and heroes. You made it easy." She hesitated. "You're smarter than I gave you credit for." "I'm smarter than anyone gave me credit for." "That's what scares me," she whispered. "Because this isn't over, not for you. You've had a taste of power now, of being seen, and people like you never stop being hungry." I said nothing. Her words had landed too close to home. She sighed again. "Some people deserve what happens to them, and some deserve what they become. Goodbye, Everett. I hope you enjoy what you've built. But more than that, I hope you can live with who you've become." The line went dead. 6 weeks later, a knock came on my office door. My assistant was pale, holding a newspaper clipping. "Mr. Rowan? There's been an incident. It's about Marin." The headline was short. "Former professor dies in prison altercation." It was a scuffle in the dining hall. She fell, hit her head, died 3 hours later. I read it twice, waited for something. Grief, regret, even relief. But all I felt was stillness. Cold, quiet stillness. "Should we notify her family?" my assistant asked. "Her sister can handle it," I said, handing back the clipping. "Send something appropriate. Flowers." The funeral was small, tucked into a gray chapel on the edge of town. I arrived late, stayed in the back. No one mentioned her research, her lectures, the students she inspired. Only her cooperation, her remorse, her so-called redemption. The real Marin, brilliant, ruthless, morally gray, was buried under layers of edited legacy, just like the real Everett was buried beneath headlines and honors. After the service, I stood outside in the cold. Mourners walked by, avoiding my eyes, until one didn't. Professor Kira Solis approached me. Ethics, philosophy, one of the few untouched by the scandal. "Everett," she said softly, "I'm sorry for your loss." "Thank you." She studied my face. "May I ask you something hypothetically?" "Of course." If someone knew their actions would completely destroy another person, but those actions were legal, even moral, does that person bear responsibility for the outcome? I held her gaze. "That depends," I said. "Was the destruction deserved? And who gets to decide that? The one who has the power?" She nodded slowly. "That's a very honest answer, and a very frightening one." She turned and walked away, leaving me alone with the snow beginning to fall. That night, I sat in the same home office where I'd first opened Liam's USB. Somerfield was thriving. I was celebrated. Invitations, speaking engagements, a book deal. But Kira's words echoed like a crack in the glass. Who gets to decide what destruction is justified? The answer was simple. The one who sees the game. The one with patience and proof and nothing left to lose. Marin had once treated me like furniture, present but unimportant, functional, forgettable. She didn't realize invisibility is a kind of freedom, because no one suspects the quiet ones. The phone buzzed. A message from Liam. New opportunity. Vermont. Small liberal arts school. Employee embezzlement. Admission scandal. Interested? I stared at it. The same fire sparked again. But then Marin's last words whispered in the dark. "You never stop being hungry." I deleted the message. Poured a drink. Outside, the snow covered the quad. Students laughed beneath the lights of the institution I had rebuilt, in my own image. The hero, the reformer, the righteous hand of justice. And somewhere out there, another quiet person was watching, learning, waiting for their chance. This story is an unsettling mirror to what can happen when justice, ego, and betrayal intertwine. In real life, betrayal doesn't always look dramatic. It can creep in through emotional neglect, abuse of power, or a slow erosion of respect. Like Everett, many people feel invisible in their careers or relationships, dismissed and underestimated. That silence can either become a seed of self-destruction or transformation. If you're in a toxic relationship, whether personal or professional, the most important thing you can do is acknowledge it early. Denial is the fuel of long-term harm. Document everything, seek support discreetly, and make an exit plan if necessary. But remember, in trying to seek justice, don't lose your own humanity. Revenge might feel like control, but it rarely brings peace. Also, watch for the warning signs in others: sudden changes in behavior, manipulation, power games, or excessive charm that covers cruelty. And if you feel yourself craving recognition or power more than healing, step back. The difference between a hero and a villain isn't what they do, it's why they do it. Sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones who believe they're doing the right